Good girl. It is hot. So hot. We've been asked to take this car that has currently organic 460 air conditioning. That's with no GMOs added. By 460 we mean the best thing it can do is have four windows down at 60 miles an hour. Not good enough on a day like today. So today, on this episode of Guy's Garage, we're going to chemically induce some cooling sensation into this car. Okay, and in keeping with Mr. Dustolini's wishes, the owner of this state-of-the-art Dodge Brothers creation, being a 2006 Dodge Charger, we're going to try to give it some chill. We're going to chemically induce that, hopefully. We're going to need a few basic tools. We're going to need a set of gauges, manifold gauges. We're going to need some Freon or coolant. We're going to use safety in mind. We're going to have gloves. We're going to have safety glasses, a thermometer. And we're going to, of course, protect his fine car. Some protection, many call them fender covers. I don't like the hard plastic ones. They can tend to scratch up paint. We've got to put something over here to make sure we don't cause any problems with the exterior of the car that might not make the customer very happy. Okay, so keeping safety always at number one. We're going to add additional lighting to the area we're working at. As I said, we're going to use safety glasses. We don't want this is a high pressure system. Could be over 300 pounds on the high side on a hot day. We want to make sure we don't get any chemicals sprayed into us. We want to use gloves to make sure that we don't get burned, because it is a hot surface. And also, again, you can get hurt by sharp objects in the area. So we're going to go ahead and locate the service ports on the vehicle. That's what they're called for air conditioning. We can see one is really easily up here. Cap comes off. Next one is not so very easily. It's underneath. Cap comes off. The nice thing about 134 AC systems is the high side and the low side ports are different sizes. You cannot put the high side where the low side is. The high side's a much larger port. And we can see that our top one is a large port, and we're just going to snap this on real quick. And we're going to check, because I heard a leak. The gauge is not on tight. Alright, we're going to do it again. Snap it right here. Alright, so that's on. And he's got a pretty good leak in it. Our pressure, as you can see, barely moved the needle. It's not a good start. It'll be a long day. Let me take our low side down here. Snap that on. And it's on. And we could see the low side needle didn't move at all either. So we got a very major leak in this car. We're going to add just a little bit of Freon to see if we can determine where it's coming from, if it's something that we can take care of easily, or if it's going to be a major repair like a condenser leaking, etc. So to do that, we're going to take our feed line that goes to our tank, remove our protective cap, thread it onto our port. Now we're going to leave these valves closed. We're going to open our tank just a little bit. We're going to purge some of the environmental air out of here, because we don't need environmental air in that system. Crack this loose a bit. You can hear the hiss. Okay, now we're going to put gas only in it. We're going to open our valve some more. We can start in our low side. And we're going to bring it up to about 50 psi standing, and we're going to let that set for several minutes and see if it bleeds down. That's going to be our first test for a heavy leak. So some good news, and I'm going to ask him for a close-up over here on the gauges. This has been, we put 50 pounds of pressure in it. It's been there for a half an hour and it hasn't lost anything, so it's obviously a very slow leak, one that we probably don't have to try to diagnose at this exact moment in time, but we don't have to worry about a major component repair. And on the side of good news, hopefully, the reason that he really needed something done is we've already installed a thermometer in the vent to see where we're at right now with it not functioning. It's at about 102 to 105 degrees right now. So now we're going to go ahead, start the vehicle up. We're going to install some more Freon, bring it up to level as it should be, and see if we can help and get this car a little bit cooler. So first we'll make sure that everything is clear from the engine area, belts, hoses, clear. We're good. Listening to see if the compressor is running. I can't tell from in here. We have a look at our gauges. And it is. We're down to 0 on the low side and we're starting to gain pressure on the high side. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more and bring her up to see if we can get some cooling going on here. You see our low gauge come up, speeding more in. Our high pressure is going up, which good indication that our compressor is in good condition. We don't see the gauge bouncing. That's also a good indicator. We're adding to the low side and we're adding gas only. We are not charging it with liquid. If you do it incorrectly, and I don't even want to talk about that, you can blow a compressor up on a good system. So we're not going to do that on this case. It's going to take a little bit. Next, what we're going to do, we know that our ambient temperature is over 88 degrees. We're up around 92, feels like the humidity. And I'm going to go online and I'm going to look for a chart that's going to show us what our pressures should read when the system is correctly and fully charged, properly functioning for a regular charge. We do this because we don't have a scale. We could have emptied it, put in exactly what they recommend, and then done. We don't have that option. We don't have the scale. So we're going to make sure that we don't put us to an overcharge point where we got too much pressure in the system, which A, will not allow it to cool correctly, B, can blow a line. Quick update. I went to the internet. I checked with our ambient temperature readings. We should be looking at 45 to 55 psi on the low side and 250 to 270 on the high. And when you've got a variance like that, you normally go to the lower side because lower charge is colder than too high of a charge. That being said, we are at 150 on the high side, 32 on the low side right now. We've already taken that car that was at 102 degrees. It needs with the windows open. It's not the most efficient. And we got it down to about 72 right now. So we're going to go ahead and add some more and bring it up to full charge and see what it looks like. One of the things you would normally do is bring accelerator up off idle on a vehicle with regular accelerator mechanical controls like a cable. You can reach it from here. This is a drive-by-wire or wireless throttle. There's a rheostat on the pedal, an electric motor on the throttle body itself. Therefore, I need to put my foot on that accelerator to actually increase the speed. When we do this, we really don't want to rev it up and drop it off. I'm going to try to keep it, I'm try to keep a fairly steady RPM, not much more than 1500 RPM, but at least 1500. Make sure the compressor is being able to work at a full capability. You'll notice even on a perfectly functioning air conditioning car, we come to a stop, you sit there for a while, air conditioning does warm up a little bit. That's because the compressor does not have its full capacity RPM at that time. Once you leave the stop, you go a block or so, you'll notice it starts to cool down again a little better. That's because you're able to pump more efficiently during your pump to where they need to be. Now we were able to accomplish a more than 50-degree drop in the current temperature for this customer, Mr. Dustolini. We didn't come in close, but the temperature, the pressures we were looking for, 45 to 55 low side, we were at 52. 250 to 270 on the high side, we were at 255. We dare not put more Freon in it. We could get it cooler if we did, perhaps, but we know that when we started, both gauges were at 0. Therefore, there's obviously a small leak here somewhere, even though we put some Freon in it and let it set for a half an hour. And it provided no clue to that leak. If you really want to get it colder, my recommendation would be to we inject dye and we locate the source of the leak. We repair that source. We then remove and replace the receiver dryer, which has the desiccant in it, which is obviously contaminated with environmental humidity. We're all a little humble here. And that will reduce the ability to cool. That being said, if we were to take care of this correctly, I could probably show you better readings, which I will show you in just a moment. Alright, so we're going to put our protective gloves on. Got my safety glasses on. We're going to disconnect this from the system. We're going to use a rag to help, because we will, even though they're quick disconnects, lose just a small amount of refrigerant and possibly oil. And we don't want, again, to get burned or contaminated with these chemicals. So then this other one is going to be really fun to try to get to. Yeah, it's not going to be easy at all. So we're going to put our weather caps back on so we don't get dust, dirt, and debris in there affecting the valves and causing a leak. Alright, I'm going to set these aside. The next thing you're going to see is what it could be if we did everything as should be done. So this is out of one that I just got done redoing. I don't know if you can focus on that. It's coming up pretty quickly. And that's, it was at 0 degrees, okay? True words, wouldn't lie to you. So that being said, I'm going to have to tell you it's out of a GE home freezer that's obviously working perfectly. Thanks again, and that's all for this episode of Guy's Garage.